Hi, I'm Liz Larson.
And I'm Bill McKenna. We're the hosts of the New Life Perspectives radio show.
We're also the creators of the Cognomovement system, where we help you rewire your nervous system so you can rewire your reality.
Join us each week for great conversations, amazing guests, and cutting-edge information on health, consciousness, and the keys to transformation.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show. I'm Liz Larson. I'm here with my friend,
Bill McKenna.
Today, we have a very special guest. It is one of our practitioners, Alicia Avila. And I would like Alicia, if she will, before we do any of our introductions, to tell you what her mission is and what she would like you to hear today.
Hello, everyone. It's an honor and a privilege to be here with you. And my message is that everything is within you. Everything.
Everything is within you, meaning what exactly? Like everything you want, everything you need?
That's right. Everything you want, everything you need is within you. Everything. The teachings, the experiences, how you navigate the world, how you solve challenges, how you take those experiences and integrate them, everything is within you. And I'd love to share a story, if I may, on how I discovered that through life. So I was born in the 70s, just like any other 70s baby. I was programmed and trained to be successful. Think about competition, because you have to be the best. You have to give the extra mile. You have to be super responsible for everything you do in order to be successful in this world. So I was always the one that was super studying so that I could get the A's. I could be a student that was recognized every semester, and I navigated life through fear and anxiety, because if I didn't give everything to it, I would not be successful. I wouldn't have a place in the world. I wouldn't be recognized. I would not be worthy. And as I navigated life, I carried that through my teenage years, adulthood, as I was in college and even studying my master's degree. It was about, I need to do all these in order to be worthy. And I need to work myself 24/7 because I will enjoy life when I retire. So in the meantime, just keep working like there's no tomorrow, so that when you retire, then you enjoy life. And it took me 47 years to end up in the ER. It was 2021. Of course, we were still in lockdown. That major experience that we had started in 2020. And when I ended up in the ER, I remember they didn't know what was happening. I just knew that I started 1 week before getting a little bit more yellow than a normal human being should be. I was having some pain in my solar plexus, and my doctor, super kind doctor, Dr. Kajabi, he kept running test after test. And it was a Monday morning in April when he called me and he said, I've been running all these tests. I cannot figure out what's going on, but I can see that your pancreas and your liver are failing. I need you to go to the ER. And the first thought was like, I don't not feel that bad. Yeah, I'm a little bit yellowish and in pain, but it's not like I'm dying, right? And my doctor said, please go to the ER. So I turned around, looked at my kind husband and said, guess what? Dr. Kajabi says I have to go to the ER. So my husband was like, okay, let's pack, let's go. It was still the lockdown. So that meant I had to go into the ER on my own. He had to wait in the parking lot. The ER starts running test after test. They cannot figure it out. They said, okay, let's do an ultrasound. Nothing. Finally, they said, okay, CT scan. I think it was finally midnight when they got me through the CT scan. They get me through the CT scan. I come out of the CT scan and they come back and say, you know what? We discovered a mass in your pancreas. We do not know if it's benign or if it's cancerous. We need to transport you to another hospital where they have the technology and the teams to, first of all, release the the bottleneck that we have in one of your bile ducts, because that's why you're getting all yellow. And second of all, to perform a biopsy. So I remember I had heard about cancer, and people had mentioned, if you get one, just don't get the pancreatic one. That's the worst one. And at that moment, I was like, oh gosh, what have I done? And even though that night, because I was alone in the ER, they were going to allow my husband to stay, but I said, what's the point? I mean, you have to go home, take care of the dogs, pack something for the trip to the other hospital that I was going to go to. It was a 2.5 hours, well, almost 3 hours in the ambulance to get to the other hospital. And I said, just get ready for tomorrow. And as I was reflecting that night on my own in the ER, I said, how did I end up here? And I remember feeling so sad because in the end, I wasn't looking forward to, hey, how many projects am I going to miss? And how many contracts am I going to miss? It was about how much I'm going to miss giving my husband a hug, petting my dog, enjoying a sunrise, telling my parents that I love them. In that moment, when you're facing the possibility of death, it's not like I'm going to miss, oh, I wish I had, won that battle with my colleague because I was the one that was right. It's about, it makes you put in perspective the things that really matter. And for me, it was spending time in the physical with the people I love, with friends, family, my brothers, my sister-in-law, my niece, my nephew. It was the possibility of not being there to see them grow up, see them succeed, see them go through life. So the next day, the ambulance came in. They took me to the other hospital. That day, I was supposed to go into the OR so that they can perform the procedure. They could perform the procedure. They couldn't. I guess there were many emergencies that day, so I had to wait other 24 hours. So that meant that the doctor that was supposed to perform the procedure changed. It was now Dr. Takar. And Dr. Takar, another angel in disguise. It's amazing how you find those angels as you go through your experience. He goes in, performs the biopsy, and puts the stent in. And I remember when I woke up, he was at the foot of my bed. And it was this kind person, but so confident. He looked me in the eyes and he said, it's adenocarcinoma. It's pancreatic cancer. The good news within all is that it's stage 1 from what we've seen, and it's resectable. So that means they can perform surgery. The surgeon will come to see you later about the options. So the moment you hear, pancreatic cancer, it's like, okay, I think I messed up big time here. And as he left the room, and of course, my husband heard the news as well, he stayed. My husband was super strong and always confident that I would make it. He was like, okay, let's hear what the surgeon has to say. So after Dr. Takar, here came Dr. Boone. another amazing angel in disguise. He arrives and he's talking about pancreatic cancer. And he said, first of all, do not Google pancreatic cancer. That's the worst thing you can do. If you want to look for information, look at pancan.org, go there, look at it. And he said, what I recommend is that we perform what's Whipple surgery. And then afterwards, chemotherapy. And he gave me the options. And as I was navigating all these doctors and tests and so on, as my husband and I assessed everything, we decided, okay, let's do the Whipple surgery. And my programming at that point in time was like, okay, I go through Whipple surgery and then I go back to work, like 2 weeks off, and we're all set, like nothing happened. Of course, as you hear this news, you go through these waves of grief and feeling sad and feeling depressed. I had the magic or the blessing of reading a few books during 2020 about how we are more than we think. And I started with the book of Joe Dispenza, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. And at the beginning, I read it and it's like, what do you mean that I'm recreating my same reality by the programming I have? Thanks to that book, I bought Gaia. And then thanks to Gaia is that I found an interview of Regina Meredith with Bill about a simple way of healing. And I went through it. And as I went through it, that one caught my attention among all the, in Gaia, there are so many things. So I don't know how my higher self talked to me. And as I was going through it, I landed on that one, resonated with me, Googled Bill McKenna, and then I saw an immunity gym. I said, hey, cancer, immunity, I think this may help me. So as I had, decided to go through the normal route, then I had to say, okay, let's assess how we can help from another side.
That is an amazing start to this interview for sure, Alicia, and an amazing part to the story. So we're going to take a quick break, but I want to just say, everybody out there, we introduced Alicia as a Cognomovement practitioner, but as you might be suspecting, there's so much more to the story. Alicia is a high-level executive in corporate worldwide, not just America. So she'll share more with you about that in a minute. But for right now, let's hear from the good folks at the UK Health Radio Network. There are events that hype you up. And then there are events that recode you. CognoConscious is a 5-day immersive nervous system and consciousness reset. It is not a conference, it's not a seminar, and it is not a pitch test. It's an energetic experience where we use real techniques to shift your consciousness through your body, not away from it. This year, we're focused on one thing, helping you shift into 5D consciousness without leaving your body behind. You've heard the phrase that the planet is shifting. It is. But you can't ascend in fight or flight. You can't upgrade your reality if your body still thinks you're in danger. That's what makes this different. We don't just talk about high frequency. We create it in your field and unlock it in your nervous system. You'll feel the change happen. Everyone in the room is doing the work together. That's why we don't offer a live stream. The in-person energy of this event is what makes it so powerful. If you've been doing the work and still feel stuck, CognoConscious is where everything finally changes, where everything finally moves. Tickets are open now. Our Essentials course is required, but you can bundle them together. Get your link in the description and get your tickets today. Space is running out. So we're back, and you left us on a cliffhanger, Alicia. A diagnosis, pancreatic cancer. You're thinking, all right, well, I'll just have a couple weeks off. It'll be a little vacation, and I'll go back. And yet you had already had some information that maybe you had created this program. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right.
Started with the book, and then I found the interview of Bill, and then the immunity gym caught my eye, and that's how I discovered Cognomovement at that point in time. So as I was still following my doctors, my amazing angels that I found in the path, and decided to go through Whipple surgery, the beauty of knowing Cognomovement is that it would help me deal with all the emotions that this experience was, let's say, activating for me, like lots of shame. The first thing, you get a diagnosis when you're running the program of being perfect, because if not, you're worthless. Then a lot of guilt and shame. Those are the first two that come up. I am not perfect. I'm worthless. I'm not going to be the perfect daughter anymore. I'm not going to be the perfect employee anymore. I'm not going to be the perfect friend, the perfect sister, the perfect wife. And there's a lot of guilt and shame that I had to work through. That was the first thing. And at the beginning, I was very emotional about the diagnosis. And I remember when I had to tell the team that I had to leave for the surgery, I just broke into tears. There was so much shame still. And that's where a tool that resonates with you, that can help you process those emotions, because in the end, you realize it's coming within you. The people are just trying to really surround you and support you. But then if you feel that there's just guilt, shame, and you're worthless, that's what you're experiencing from the world. So I remember the initial days where I was feeling all these emotions. And as I processed them, I was able to get into other emotions, more like into courage, right? Okay, so I have all these possibilities. I have help. The doctor says, hey, it's stage 1. We've been successful there. I have this surgeon that is passionate about the pancreas. And when I asked him, why did you decide to study this? He said there weren't enough surgeons. And I said, I will dedicate my life to this. And I saw in his eyes how passionate he was about it. And I said, that's my surgeon. I was surprised to learn later that many people that go through my, like a pancreatic cancer diagnosis, they go through so many doctors and, okay, a second opinion and a third opinion. And here I was just like, I guess, following my intuition of, you know what, I like you. Let's go with you. And then you realize that it's like, oh, you're putting your life in the hands of someone. And as you see these parallel lines, right? On one end, I'm working on immunity gym, Cognomovement, finding the support. On the other hand, you're following the path of, okay, you go through Whipple surgery, then you go through chemotherapy. I went through Whipple surgery. It was successful after 8 or 9 hours in the OR. The doctor came out, and when I woke up, they said, hey, so we removed the tumor. We got some of the lymph nodes actually that were already contaminated, but the sad news is that it seems half of one of the lymph nodes is still in you. So you weren't stage 1, you were stage 3. You are stage 3. And that's when I thought, I'm gone. It's stage 3, it's already in the lymph nodes. There's no hope. And even though I had the tool, and as I kept navigating the tool, I guess within the possibility of going back to neutral, there was a flash of something else I could do to help myself. And I don't know how that came to mind, but I guess I blame it on being able to go back to neutral and looking at all possibilities. And as I was feeling very depressed and very lost and thinking I was gone, suddenly there was a spark of an idea, like, look for survivors that have been stage 3 and that are still alive. And then, as Dr. Boone said, pancan.org, I called them and I told them, this is my diagnosis. I'm stage 3. It's in the lymph nodes. They detected at least 8 of the 26 lymph nodes already contaminated. Please look for survivors that have gone through that. And they gave me 2. I contacted them, and one of them, she was already a grandmother. And I remember when she picked up my call, she was in the car with her granddaughters and grandsons. And she told me her story and how grateful she was to still be alive and be able to enjoy her granddaughters and her grandsons. And that gave me hope. I said, well, if she did it, how can I make that happen? And it's amazing how the universe then works its way, because then when that possibility was in my mind and in my heart, then an aunt on my husband's side, she appeared. I knew she existed, but I had never really interacted with her. And suddenly we realized that she had been in her 40s through this experience with pancreatic cancer, stage 3. Now she's 81 years old, running her own business, still getting up every day to run her business and traveling around the globe and having fun. So she took me under her wing that I would catch up with her once a week or every 2 weeks, and I would tell her how I was feeling. And she said, I hear you. I felt the same way. You feel like you're dying, but look at me now. So that helped my analytical brain to say, hey, even though it feels like hell now, there's a possibility there. And as I navigated the very tough recovery from Whipple surgery, that old self that, hey, it's just 2 weeks, I'll be back at work. So, hey, save my seat. It was like, no. Between the lymph nodes and the process that they wanted to follow with me, Whipple recovery, chemo 12 rounds, and then radiation, it was 6 months in total. And I couldn't even finish chemotherapy. They wanted 12 rounds. They realized that my body couldn't take it. As one time my oncologist said, we're killing you in the process. We need to give you a break. That's when they moved me to radiation for 6 weeks every day. And as I was navigating radiation, that was a great training for meditation, because I would go every day for 7 minutes in that machine. And I became very, very good at not being in that machine. I would go in there and I would picture myself how I wanted to be running in the spring with trees that were flowering, and I could feel the breeze on my cheeks. I could feel my feet stomping the ground at every step. I could smell the flowers. I could feel the freshness of the air. I wasn't there. So that was a great learning experience as well. How you can, instead of being there in a radiation machine, you could actually be running for 7 minutes in your brain. Once I was done with that, I went back to my oncologist for chemotherapy, and she said, right now we've been doing CT scans. There's a lot of inflammation. We just do not know what we don't know. There's no precise path that we need you to follow. So do you want to change the protocol and have more chemo, or we go into surveillance? And at that point in time, I guess my intuition was more developed, and I learned a little bit more to make decisions from the heart than just from my brain. And my heart told me no chemo. And I remember that day when I met with her that I had an angel here and a devil here, both of them talking to me. The angel was like, yeah, let's go into surveillance, enjoy life. And the little devil here was like, you know, you can die tomorrow. Do you know it can come back? Do you know? I was like, I have to trust my heart. And I went through another couple of CT scans and they monitored my tumor marker very closely. And the tumor marker wasn't coming down to normal ranges. And the CT scan wasn't that clear. But I think it was after the second or the third one when finally they said, you're in remission. So, of course, I was over the moon. Of course, through this period of time, I understood that you live life every day. You do not live life through struggle and just hoping that you retire and then you start enjoying life. And that taught me as well that pain, you're always going to find human pain as we navigate this physical experience, but suffering is optional. And if you find a tool that resonates with you, that helps you come back to neutral without being in the emotion, it allows you to access all the potential in your brain. And then the ideas on how to solve a challenge, how to navigate a challenge, all come to you. And that's where I like to say that when you are in neutral, it's where all possibilities exist because you have access to all your potential. And I guess that taught me that the only thing we have guaranteed is the present moment. And we live life in the present moment, not in the future and not in the past.
Will you tell everybody, what does it mean to be at neutral?
Excellent. So sometimes when we feel different emotions, like the guilt and the shame or the fear, that means that there's something running in your body. You can feel it in your body. When you are able to process those emotions, there's like a peace or calm that comes. You don't have to be feeling joyful or happy or courageous, just like peaceful. Even you feel like time stops. And when you manage to be there, that's when you go through the challenge and you can observe the challenge. And something I like to do is move my eyes, but I know that that's very common. But when you're in that neutral state, start moving your eyes all around, because then you start looking at different perspectives for that challenge. And you just wait. You just wait in that neutral state, and then the answer comes to you. It's that magical. Neutral, I guess it's a place of calm and peace. That's it. Like silence, no time passing, like everything stops. It's amazing. I hope people can try it. I use Cogno for it. Some people can try some other tool. But at least one that has resonated for me, that's one.
That's beautiful. Your experience, how many people in the world get the second chance that you have, and you actually got to navigate it. One of the things I love about your experience, and that you kind of somehow intuited and then got to the right resources, was that you knew that you needed to process those emotions, that came along with this. It's not just physical. There's a lot of emotions that come along with this. And those, your body expresses the emotion you can't process. And so you doing that really kind of smoothed out the process. If somebody else was going through it and not utilizing the tools, it'd be just a much more difficult situation. Anyway, we have to take a break to listen to our sponsors, which we love, and we will be right back.
And we are back. We are here with Alicia Avila, who is sharing with the world that it's all within you, and don't place it's somewhere else. Don't place your happiness, your livelihood, your experience outside of yourself. It's within you. And as Alicia was telling her story, a couple things came to mind. One is that Alicia had the capacity to ask what else is possible. What is possible? Did anyone else survive this? Who are they and what's their life like? And I just want to say that that is one of the things I've found most useful in my life as well. Is it possible? Did even one person do it? Did even one other person do it? And if they did, then it's possible for me. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, that ability to get to neutral, which I know you learned doing immunity gym with Bill. I remember those days. Bill held your hand through a lot of this. I remember those times, of working through and learning how to get past some of the physical discomfort that chemo and radiation and all of that causes. Just working your way through that, having someone to hold your hand was important. I know that's true. But the third thing is that I heard a couple things in your story, Alicia, about one, you knew in the back of your mind, if you get cancer, just don't get pancreatic. So that little bug of a concern, right? And also the desire to be perfect, to live life perfectly, to do everything that was expected and not necessarily enjoying the sweetness of life. And the pancreas is the part of our body that processes sugar, very specifically sugar. And you find that people who have pancreatic cancer, in some way or another, are not actually allowing themselves a lot of sweetness, or not accepting the sweetness, or not experiencing it in some way. Did you feel like that was true for you before?
I think it was. I think it was always available to me, the sweetness in life. But in the end, I was so focused on, hey, just let me get to 67 and then I will retire and I will enjoy everything. In the meantime, it may feel like hell, but it doesn't matter. But the moment I got the diagnosis, I didn't know if I was going to make it to 67.
But I think the thing that did come up is all of a sudden you recognized, there is the sweetness that I enjoy. And that's where it sounds like to me, you started to put your attention. The other thing is that we really are the voice of God for ourselves. We are. And oftentimes we don't even realize that the voice of God that's talking to all these cells is talking about, I have this little fear in the back of my mind about this kind of disorder. I need to be perfect. We need to be perfect because our sweetness is later in life. We're going to enjoy later. So for now, we are military soldiers and getting the work done. And so I think once we become aware of that, lots of things that happen to us in our life make sense. Does it feel like that it kind of all adds up for you now?
Yes. I realized that I had everything with me from the beginning of life. That the support, you will always be supported, no matter what, that you are unconditionally loved. Once I went through this experience, I realized every day you are so blessed, but we are so distracted. We are so distracted by the physical world and by all the programming that we don't get to enjoy that part of our experience unless you are very, very present. And you may be in a very difficult, let's say, meeting or argument with someone. If you're able to go back to neutral, you may realize that the argument is actually very silly and it's just looking at another perspective. And maybe you will realize that you were wrong. And maybe you will realize that there's a perspective that you hadn't seen before. And that will help you embrace life in a different way. So, I know for some people it may cause some resistance, but it was a great gift for me, my experience in 2021. I would have never felt the kind of happiness I felt these years after my experience just for being alive. for waking up and watching a sunrise. By the way, if you don't watch sunrise, please do, because it's the most amazing experience. It's that the sunrise with the earth waking up and then the birds and the fresh air. It's just fascinating. And then you start your day, and then you get to meet all angels in disguise. You may think that people are your worst enemies, and you may not know that they might be saving you from something. So when I get on the road and there's a classic car that, hey, I'm going here 60 miles an hour, I know I'll get there really fast, and there is a guy that goes like 40 miles an hour in front of you, and then you start getting upset because why the heck is he here? Maybe he's an angel that is slowing you down so that you do not cause an accident later, or they are protecting you from someone else that there's going to be an accident later. And we just tend to judge everything. And someone told me, look at the experience from a viewpoint where you do not judge, just an experience. And then you're able to create the story you want. So create the story you want so that it makes you enjoy life much more. And this week, actually, I had an experience with an electrician that he was changing some equipment. And I thought he had put the equipment that he wasn't supposed to put in there, and that took the equipment that he told me he was going to put in there, like trying to get something cheaper installed. And my first thought was like, again, he was trying to steal from me, right? That's the program I was running. And then thankfully, I run into an angel that I said, I thought someone was stealing from me. And they are like, couldn't another possibility be there? And I said, maybe. Well, he's coming back to finish the job, so I can get clarification on that. So I asked the question, and he said, you are right. By mistake, I put that equipment in the house next door instead of yours. And we went and checked, and he's like, yeah, it's here. And I'm like, that's right. It was just a simple mistake. But then you see the story we tell ourselves. So I'm really glad I was able to stop on my tracks and say, isn't there a possibility where he's not actually stealing and I'm just going by my programming? And the same thing happens with our colleagues, right? Sometimes we think, hey, I'm sure he woke up and he said, how can I make her life miserable today? And it's not. It's just the stories we tell ourselves.
That is such a, that is such a valuable insight that you have. And, a part of this, is basically utilizing more of our brains, which because of the work, you've done a lot of work on your brain. That's the nature of these physical exercises, the Cognomovement exercises, accessing more of your brain. And I love the way that one teacher put it, which was, it's not what people say to me, it's what I say to myself after that gives it meaning. And the amazing thing with that I often repeat is to myself is that you have the power. You if you want to make it bad, you can make it bad. If you want to, they're just having a hard day here today. They, I don't know what's going on, but I know that maybe there's times when I'm not as nice as I could be because there's something else going on. I ate some bad food and I don't feel good. Anyway, what a wonderful gift. Isn't it so interesting that that this disease actually ironically made you a more powerful human in your life? It gave you power over your life by having that viewpoint is ultimately powerful. Not at the bequest of somebody else's mercy, but just, I'm making it up. I'm making it up.
The power is within you. Everything is within you. It's just amazing. And I realized my old self thought she had to control everything and thought she was still powerless. My new self knows that I don't need to control anything. And I am very powerful within me to navigate the challenges. And the challenges are going to come up, and that's okay. So that said, I think the power on an experience is, what is this experience trying to teach me? It can be a good experience and it can be a bad experience. Whatever happens, remember, this shall pass. If it's good, enjoy it because it will pass. If it's bad, hey, remember, it will pass. Nothing stays forever. And in the end, as this writer that I love of the book of Walking the Physical, Christian Sundberg, when he says, hey, a little bit of humor. No one makes it out alive of this physical experience, right? So why worry about it? So enjoy every present moment that you are here to all its potential, because everything is within you.
How beautifully put. I know I've told this before, but I have to keep telling it because it was one of the best moments of my life. I got to actually meet Alicia in person after we, and it makes me all emotional, after everything, the chemo, we were working together every day for months. And finally, the doctors had finally, end of the road on the treatments and that sort of thing. And she drove an hour and a half or more to see me. I was in Washington, D.C., and I got to give her a hug. And I call it one of the best hugs of my life, if not the best one. It was a surreal experience for me. And the reason it was surreal is that I could feel that there was nothing left. It was like I had worked with Alicia this entire time intensely. And when I hugged her, I was like, oh my God, there's nothing left. She is complete, there's no more disease here. And anyway, it was a beautiful experience. It was, I can't do it justice because I can't put it into words. But all I can say is to see this being transformed and light and healed. It was just an amazing experience. So I'm very grateful, very grateful that our paths have intersected and that you're part of the Cognomovement community and helping. Now, Alicia is in the corporate world at a high level. She's not really a practitioner that's out there, helping people directly other than her own family members, but she is available for public speaking engagements. If somebody out there in media would like to have her on, this is an incredible story. There's very few people who have survived this, and she has survived it for the reason, in my opinion, is that she did the work. She transformed herself in the process, and my reason for saying that, the evidence behind it, is this Harvard research, Radical Remissions. There's a fabulous book. I think it's New York Times bestsellers. All the factors Like out of the 9 factors of people that have had radical remissions, this person right in front of you, right here, talking right here, has embodied all 9 of those. It's no BS, and it works. And so the things that you heard about today and more, she embodies. So I would highly recommend having her on.
So we once again have run out of time. Alicia, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being our friend and part of our organization. And I'm sure the world thanks you just for being who you are. We know that when one person does this work for themselves, they help at least 1,000 other people. That's who we come in contact with. But I'm sure for Alicia, it's far, far more. So, Alicia, would you like to say how people could contact you if they want to reach you for speaking engagements or other podcasts?
Yes, sure. We can, I guess, put my email, avila.alicia@gmail.com, and I'll be more than happy to be in touch and help spread the word that in the end, everything is within you. It's
Beautiful.
not outside of you. Thank you.
All right, everybody out there in UK Health Radio Land, there's so many little nuggets in here for you to take home and use in your life today, even if you do not have, a devastating diagnosis of cancer. So until next week, be safe and be well and try this stuff on. Visit us at Cognomovement.com or email us at info@Cognomovement.com. See you again soon.